So this is quite delayed, but I thought I'd share with you how I did my Christmas dinner this year as a vegan and as a Polish person. So I did travel back home, did it all safe with COVID in mind. But yeah, Polish Christmas dinners are slightly different. So usually you have several courses and there is no meat anyway, but for some reason fish doesn't count. So I did have to make some alterations to make it vegan. And then in a couple of days time, when we finished with the leftovers, we did have a mini English kind of Christmas dinner, so I'll be showing you how I made that vegan also. It's just my immediate family, we didn't do anything too intense, so this is what our table looked like over Christmas. And there are some changes that we made this year. So first of all, during a Polish Christmas, we start actually on the 24th, so we don't celebrate Christmas on the 25th. And you start when you see the first star in the sky, which is a tradition in my family. I don't know what the tradition is everywhere else. And you usually start off with sharing this. I know this in the UK is called the body of Christ when you go to church and you get this little flake thing, but in Poland we have this over Christmas, and what you do is you'll get a piece and you go around family members and split it in half and eat the piece you got off the other person, and you grant them some wishes for the next year. Then usually someone reads an extract from the Bible about Christmas Eve and Mary and Joseph going to the manger, and then we sit down and start our meal. So the first dish is usually beetroot soup with some beans and pierogi, which is kind of like Polish dumplings, and we had these little ones with mushrooms. These ones actually my mum bought already, so I didn't have to make any changes with that. I didn't have too many on my plate here because I have had an intolerance to mushrooms, so I didn't have too many so my stomach wouldn't hurt. And then the next meal we had was the pierogi that I made, and usually we would have mushroom and sauerkraut, but of course I couldn't have that, so my parents bought some ready-made ones, but I didn't have those because they had mushrooms in it, so I made my own with this sauerkraut and pea alternative, and they had that also as like a salad on the side, which was kind of weird, but apparently that's a tradition somewhere else in Poland, but we've never done that, so I had a little bit on the side. It was quite nice. I preferred it in my dumplings, and I filmed here the process of making it. I made the dough so elastic that it wouldn't keep its shape, and it was actually very hard to try and mold it, which is actually quite funny. And then the next dish is usually fish. So I was going to try and make some, but I've tried making vegan fish with celeriac root before, and I didn't like it too much because it tasted very vinegary, and I've never liked vinegar on my fish. So we bought some vegan fish fingers, which isn't the most classic. I am going to try something a bit better next year. And then with that came this salad. I'm not sure what this salad is called, but we usually have it on every single kind of special occasion, Christmas, Easter, all that. And I actually really like it, and we had it for leftovers for breakfast with sandwiches for like days afterwards. And that one was quite easy to make vegan. All I did was change out the mayo to a vegan mayo, and instead of egg I did potatoes, which is not unusual because that is a different way of making that salad in other parts of Poland, so that was pretty easy to change. So I had my separate bowl, as you can see here. My mum still used her recipe, but it was very delicious. And then they found some vegan jelly, so we had that as well. That's not specifically Christmas-y. There are usually lots of desserts and cakes that are made over Christmas. I remember years ago when we would meet up as a family, the days coming up to Christmas, you'd spend so much time in the kitchen just baking away and shaping all these biscuits. So my mum and I did make some cheesecakes and biscuits, which you will see now. I made a vegan cheesecake, which is more American style, and she made her Polish cheesecake, which of course isn't vegan, but I had mine and they tried mine as well and very enjoyed it. And then these biscuits are made from some sort of nut flour that they made themselves and vegan butter, so that was vegan, and they were delicious as well. And we also had the thing called Compot, and I know in England Compot means like a thickened sauce from fruits, but in Poland it's more like a little fresh tea, I would call it. It's just fruits boiled down with sugar and water, and we drank that, and it's delicious. I absolutely love it. Reminds me so much of Poland. So like I mentioned, we then, a couple of days later after finishing leftovers, we had a mini English Christmas dinner, and it wasn't very big. It was kind of more like a Sunday roast, but we had roast potatoes, which of course are vegan, and then parsnips and lots of veggies. We had vegetable gravy, and they had some sort of meat. I think they had turkey and duck, whereas I was going to make some seitan, but I forgot that you needed special flour, and by the time I remembered that, it was too late and we couldn't go into any shops either. So I just used some southern fried chicken bites, which were vegan, from the freezer. So again, not very fancy, but I liked it. So here's some videos of the process, and that is all really. We didn't do anything fancy. I think in future, especially when I start having family around my house, I'll start making it fancier and putting a bit more effort and investigating more into making Polish dinners vegan, because I do really miss those dishes, but they are very heavy on eggs and meat and things like that. So I have made my own Polish dumplings before, and if you guys are interested, I'm happy to share that. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and keep an eye out for some other Christmas and New Year's related content coming out soon.